Hello, I'm Sebastian. Welcome to Nine Nar Trees podcast. Today, I will summarize and review the book. Secret Empires by Peter Schweizer is an investigative nonfiction book that examines how influence, access, and international money can intersect around prominent American political families. Drawing on reporting and public records, Schweizer focuses on the ways relatives and close associates of officials may benefit from business deals and foreign partnerships while the public faces limited transparency into the financial details. The book argues that modern politics has produced a system where formal public service can coexist with private gain, not always through direct illegality, but through ethical gray zones, complex corporate structures, and the advantage of proximity to power. Across its case studies, the narrative emphasizes cross-border ties, consulting arrangements, investment funds, and board roles that allegedly convert political prominence into lucrative opportunities. Secret Empires aims to raise questions about accountability and the safeguards needed when public decision-makers and their networks interact with global business interests, particularly in areas involving governments and state-linked enterprises. I will give you key takeaways from this book. Firstly, the core claim, political proximity becomes an economic asset. A central theme in Secret Empires is that the value being sold is often not a specific policy outcome, but the implied access that comes with a famous name and close family ties to power. Schweizer frames this as a marketplace where foreign and domestic actors pursue relationships with politically connected relatives because those relationships can open doors, confer legitimacy, and improve deal flow. The book contends that this can happen even when no law is broken, because influence is hard to define and even harder to regulate. It highlights how public service can elevate a family brand, which then becomes useful for attracting investors, securing advisory fees, or landing partnerships. The argument also stresses how asymmetry works. Ordinary citizens must comply with strict rules and disclosures, while complex corporate arrangements can obscure who is paying whom and for what. By emphasizing patterns rather than isolated scandals, the book invites readers to see political corruption not only as bribes or explicit quid pro quo, but as a broader ecosystem where access is monetized and accountability mechanisms lag behind. Secondly, foreign money and the vulnerability of a globalized elite. The book devotes significant attention to how international deals can create potential conflicts of interest for American leaders and their families. Schweizer argues that globalization has multiplied the pathways for foreign actors to cultivate goodwill, ranging from joint ventures and investment funds to strategic partnerships with entities linked to foreign governments. These arrangements can be especially sensitive when they involve state-owned enterprises, politically connected oligarchs, or industries that depend on regulation and diplomacy. Secret Empires presents this as a national interest issue as much as an ethics issue, because decision-makers might face real or perceived pressure when their relatives have financial exposure abroad. The narrative underscores the difficulty of tracing money across borders, subsidiaries, and shell companies, and it suggests that disclosure regimes and media scrutiny are often not strong enough to keep pace. The broader takeaway is that the modern political class operates within a transnational economy where influence is a tradable commodity, and where the lines between private business and public duty can become dangerously blurred. Thirdly, the role of foundations, nonprofits, and reputation laundering. Another important topic is how philanthropic institutions and nonprofit branding can complicate the public view of influence. Schweizer examines how foundations and charitable initiatives associated with prominent figures can attract donors who also have business or policy interests. Even when charitable work is real and beneficial, the book argues that the surrounding donor networks can function as relationship hubs, granting status, access, and goodwill that later translate into advantage. This dynamic can be difficult to evaluate because the language of charity tends to reduce skepticism, and because many nonprofit disclosures provide only partial visibility into donor intent, side agreements, or informal expectations. Secret Empires treats this as a form of reputation laundering, where the glow of philanthropy can normalize proximity between power and money. The analysis also suggests that high-profile philanthropy may blur the lines between public leadership and private fundraising, raising questions about governance, conflict screening, and transparency. For readers, the topic serves as a reminder that influence can travel through socially approved channels, not only through overt lobbying or campaign contributions. Fourthly, media, oversight, and why scrutiny often fails. Secret Empires argues that watchdog systems frequently underperform because the people and organizations tasked with accountability face structural constraints. Schweizer points to limitations in mainstream coverage, such as reliance on official narratives, the complexity of financial documentation, and partisan incentives that shape what gets investigated and how aggressively. The book also highlights how ethics rules and enforcement mechanisms can be narrow, focusing on direct personal holdings or formal lobbying while leaving gaps around relatives, associates, and private entities. Another factor is the speed and sophistication of modern finance. Money can move through layers of partnerships, management companies, and international vehicles that are difficult for the public to parse. In this environment, oversight can become reactive rather than preventive, addressing controversies only after they become politically useful. The broader implication is that corruption and conflicts of interest can thrive in complexity, not necessarily because facts are unavailable, but because assembling a complete picture requires time, expertise, and sustained attention. This topic positions the book as a critique of institutional capacity as much as individual behavior. Lastly, reform agenda, transparency, conflict rules, and cultural expectations. While the book is driven by investigation, it also points toward reforms intended to reduce the incentive and opportunity to monetize political connections. Schweizer emphasizes transparency as a first principle, arguing that clearer disclosures around income sources, business relationships, and family-affiliated entities can help citizens evaluate potential conflicts. He also raises the need for stricter conflict of interest standards that account for relatives and close associates, not only the office holder. Beyond legal rules, Secret Empires suggests that cultural expectations matter. If voters, donors, and institutions treat influence peddling as normal, regulatory fixes will always lag. The book encourages readers to view ethics as a system design problem, where loopholes, weak enforcement, and ambiguous norms create predictable outcomes. Potential solutions implied by the narrative include more robust reporting requirements, tighter controls on foreign-connected transactions, improved auditing of nonprofit fundraising tied to political prominence, and clearer boundaries between public roles and private deal-making. Even readers who disagree with specific interpretations can use this section to think concretely about what effective accountability would look like in a complex global political economy. In conclusion, Secret Empires is best suited for readers who want to understand how modern influence works beyond campaign donations and election cycles, including journalists, policy students, civics-minded voters, and professionals interested in ethics and governance. The book can benefit a reader's life by sharpening practical skepticism. It encourages people to ask better questions about who profits, how relationships are structured, and why certain business opportunities appear around powerful names. That mindset helps readers evaluate news, political narratives, and institutional claims with more clarity, especially when financial complexity is used to deflect accountability. Compared with many political exposés that focus on a single scandal or partisan outrage, this book positions itself around patterns and mechanisms, such as access as a commodity, foreign-connected deal structures, and the gray zone between legal compliance and public trust. It is worth buying for readers who want a framework for recognizing conflicts of interest and understanding why oversight often fails, rather than only a headline-driven recap. Even when readers debate specific cases, the broader lens on incentives, transparency, and reform makes it a useful addition to a politics and public integrity bookshelf. If you would like to support Peter Schweizer, you can buy the book through the Amazon link I've provided in the podcast description. After reading the book, please let me know what you think and share your thoughts. See you around.